Welcome to the Soul Wisdom Project, the living blueprint of the soul. With me, Shakti Bottazzi, your host. Do you ever feel overwhelmed by your daily life as if something inside you is trying to get your attention? As an international teacher, shaman, and energy healer, I will bring the tools of a lifetime to guide you to explore how to live consciously, awaken your innate wisdom, integrating the design, development, and emergence of your divine blueprint. Each episode blends grounded conversation with multidimensional insight, guiding you to release old patterns, align with your higher intelligence, and live awake, aware, and fully present. The Soul Wisdom Project with me, Shakti Bottazzi, starts now. Well, hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, depending upon where you're listening to. I am Shakti Bottazzi, and I welcome you to another episode of the Soul Wisdom Project. And today we're doing something a little bit different. But first, I want to ask you, what if your intuition was right and your mind made it wrong? Have you ever been there? So today, what we do is, for the first time, I'm opening the phone lines for a live call-in show. This way, it can be real between you and I, a conversation in the now. So if you're listening to me live, you can call me now, 1-800-930-2819. Again, 1-800-930-2819. No question is too big or too small, or no stupid questions. Whether you're navigating a relationship, a career change, a spiritual awakening, or simply wondering if you're on the right path, we'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear from where you're at. What are you coming up against in these crazy times of rapid change, where we are being stretched beyond anything we've ever been before, no matter what phase of our lives we are all in. By the end of today's conversation, you will walk away with greater clarity about how to recognize your intuition, distinguishing it from fear, conditioning, overthinking, and old programming, so that you can begin trusting your own inner knowing with greater confidence, which will translate into a more fulfilling life where you can see your desires happening, manifesting in front of you. So I invite you to call again, 1-800-930-2819. Don't wait until the end of the show. We'll be taking calls throughout the hour. If for any reason you prefer to send your message in like you've done before, do that too. Meanwhile, as you're calling in and Emily is taking in your calls, let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you've looked back at how you navigated that life situation and the decisions you made, but after you've lived the situation, you look back and you say, darn, I knew it. I knew something wasn't right. I knew I should have made that call. I knew I should have stayed. I knew I should have left. And somehow you didn't see that red flag, or more than see it, you saw it, but you overrid it. For me, big rising of my hand, because I've overridden so many red flags that were so clear information about my intuition in situations that became really difficult for me because I didn't listen to that intuition. So that's why the question of today's show is, what if your intuition was right? What if those red flags were right on? And for some reason, you talked yourself out of it. Sometimes it's not that you overlook them, it's that you talk yourself out of them. You second guess yourself, you overthink what you know. And by the time you've overthunk it so much, you can't even remember what the truth with capital T is inside of you. The truth is that in this society that we grew up, for the majority of us, whatever country you're in, no matter what, it's these years, these, the 50s, the 60s, the 40s, the 70s, the 2000s, we are not taught to listen to our intuition, and we are not taught to understand the difference between that inner knowing and the voice of something else that gets in the middle. Do you know what it is that gets in the middle? Do you have an understanding of that? Is it fear? Is it wishful thinking? Is it playing small thoughts? Is it old programming? Some of us call it conditioning. No matter what, I'm hoping that as I'm having this conversation, this is making you think. Think and revisit this aspect of our lives, because this is exactly what we are exploring today. And if one of your questions is really about something specific, because you need a confirmation, because your mind has brought in so much noise into your intuition that you can't discern anymore what part is the real intuition and what part is the noise, I'm here for you. Just let me know what this crossroads you're in or what decision you have to make is about. And I'm also a medium and a channeler and a psychic, so I can tune into the field for you with your permission. I would never do something without your permission. And then help you with confirmation and assist you in gaining clarity once again about what you're trying to do in your life. Again, the number to call, it's 1-800-930-2819. So what I love about today's show in particular is that it brings together many of the conversations we've been having throughout all of the show episodes, and many of the questions that I've been asked offline as well after people have been watching or listening to past episodes. And one of the questions that I am being asked all the time is, why do I keep doubting myself? This is a question that many people are living right now, regardless of where they are in their lives, of how many successes they've achieved, of where they are in their career, in their financial success life, and whatever age. This question has come to me from varied people. And it's not a linear answer why I keep doubting myself, because there's many reasons. And I'm going to name a few to help you tune into maybe this is the reason for you. And if so, you will know, because you will get a gut feeling that what I'm speaking about is truth for you. You may get goosebumps. Goosebumps is one of those indications that you can use at all times, because your somatic being, your physical being, your tangible touch sensorial system recognizes truth as a simple part of information that comes through as a vibration. And the goosebumps and the chills are like a recognition that, oh, yeah, this is truth. And there you go. I've already given you one insight on, how to recognize what's in front of you. But why you keep doubting yourself is because, as I was saying a few moments ago, we are growing through years of our life, and rarely we are being supported and recognized for being who we are, for simply being who we are. And we are given cues through our own parents and family and society and school and friends. We're giving cues that who we are is not okay. There's shame, there's bullying, there's teachers not necessarily being compassionate with us when we ask questions. And not only when we ask questions about something we do not know in class, but also when we ask questions that maybe are a little bit advanced for the class, and you get answers from the teachers that are not supporting that intelligence. They may be belittling or making fun of you or having you be ashamed of being ahead. All of these things that happened in our lives, those were a training in the making to help us doubt what we know, because they were chips in our ability to believe our inner knowing. They were chips in our self-worth. And therefore, when we stop believing, first and foremost, we stop believing in our own worth, in the fact that what we believe, want, feel, see, and know is okay. And that's why we second guess ourselves, because we stop believing that that's okay. Then we doubt ourselves. And the truth is that we all have intuition. We've all been biologically, physically, in our bodies, wired to be intuitive. There's several ways in which we are wired, and this is one of those things in which human design does a really good job in explaining where that inner knowing sits in our body. But we have two mechanisms. There's one which is a biological radio antenna made by our pituitary gland, which sits right behind our third eye in the hypophysis gland, and the pineal gland, which sits in the intersection of our brain inside the two brain hemispheres inside the corpus callosum, and the two amygdala that are all two little tiny glands to the side of it. That whole system acts like a radio antenna. And it's what allows us to enter into that state of trance, of silence, of inner knowing, that helps us separate the witness aspect of who we are from the actual biological being living life in 3D. And the other aspect is where our automatic, or more than automatic, that's not the right word, where our inner authority of decision making sits. So when these two systems are able to operate together and not against each other, then we can really begin to stop overriding our decisions and doubting ourselves. And I'm going to tell you more about the inner authority after we take in a caller. Her name is Alexandra. Welcome, Alexandra. Where are you calling from?
Hi, I'm calling from Connecticut. Can you hear me?
Yes, hi, Alexandra. It's so good to hear you. What question do you have for us today?
My question is really, I'm at a point in my life where I've gained enough clarity on what my path really should be, my soul path. And what you were talking about just now, just the doubting, that is definitely exactly where I am. And what I am noticing when I, you know, come down to my heart, get out of my mind, is I'm starting to be able to pick out some limiting beliefs that I know are there. It's this undercurrent of, what's holding me back. My question is how, and I hear people saying all the time, release your limiting beliefs, but how do you actually do that? That's my question.
Mm, thank you. First of all, let me just verify what you asked because the sound is not that good. So I heard you saying you're in a path where you are tuning into what's your soul's path. Did I get that right?
Yes, yes, yes,
And then you said that you are moving through that path of tapping into your soul's path, but then you are being stopped by limiting beliefs, correct?
correct. So the
Okay.
question is how to let them go.
Yes. Okay. So that's the $1 million question, but I will answer you. I love that you brought that question because it's a huge one and it definitely will help everybody. So, first of all, let's clarify for others what do we mean by limiting beliefs? And do you want to tell me what you intend by that?
I think it has to do with all these doubts that I can't do it. I won't be able to do it. I'm not good enough. It's
Yes.
not just worthiness. It's the I don't think I can do it.
Yes. Yes. Awesome. So it's a dialogue that's happening inside your mind. It's a narrative that's playing in your mind constantly saying, I can't do this. Why would I deserve this? And why is this not happening yet? And all of these words, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay. So the narrative, in fact, is a second layer above the limiting beliefs. So underneath that narrative, there is a feeling, an emotion, a trained, felt experience as a child that what you desire, you don't deserve. That's at the bottom of it. And that's not just for you, Alexandra, and thank you for calling in with this question, but it's for almost everybody that has something similar going on. Because what you're talking about is common to almost every human on earth at this time, at one level or another. And so that belief comes tied in with your own experience of life, which creates the narrative that makes sense to you. In this case, is the one you shared. But we all have these type of narratives of very subtly putting a limit, putting a maximum expression that we believe we can have. I can't have a house that's bigger than this, tangibles, right? I'm doing some experiences of tangibles. I can't have a business that I live off of. I can't have clients that pay me high tickets. I can't have all of these are narratives that come at a second moment. The first is what's underlying. And you say, how do I get over the limiting beliefs? So there's a two-step process because you can do affirmations until, the end of the world to counteract that narrative. But unless you work on releasing, removing, reframing that underlying feeling, felt emotion that embedded in your biology, in your cells, in your energetic bodies that you are less than, not enough, and don't deserve, or any similar feelings or emotions that relate to that, there's no affirmation that can override that. It's almost like first, the work to be done is the work energetically to heal. This is called trauma, by the way, but certain people, when I say the word trauma, they don't quite understand what I'm talking about. This is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about growing up and living normal lives like we all do, and receiving information from the outside, from our mom, from our parents, from those that care for us, that we interpret as meaning that we're not important enough. Not that they meant that, but that we interpret that. One of the examples I give in my book, Remembering Her, a Soul Embodiment Journey, which, if this is a topic that interests you, the book is probably a resource you want to access. It's everywhere, by the way. I'll add the link to the description of this call as well. Is when this client of mine, she was a little girl and she loved singing, and she was singing all the time. She was such a cutie. I met her as an adult, and she had a beautiful voice and wanted to have a career about it. But when she was a child, her mom worked really hard hours and came home from work one time. We narrowed it down to this time, and this woman, who was a girl at the time, was dancing in the kitchen and singing, and the mom just yelled at her and said, "Enough, please, I can't stand this noise, just go to your room." And this girl, this woman that became a woman, interpreted, if I sing it's not okay, I'm going to be sent to my room, and forever closed that voice. For like 30 years, she closed that voice, until closing that voice was giving her a big disease, big illness on her throat. I mean, it had, a big correlation, and she remembered this. And the mother didn't intend to say, "I don't like it when you sing." Actually, the mother loved when the girl sung, but that day the mother was so overwhelmed that she just had a reaction. Well, this is a very extreme and clear case that I've dealt with, but this happens in subtler ways when it is not as evident, the correlation. But we are told in different ways, in different actions, in different attitudes, in silences, in things not said, that we are not worth whatever it is that we desire, which, when we're children, is simply love. Parents can be too distracted. Parents can have their own trauma and their own inability to express love, and therefore they don't say how beautiful and amazing you are and I love you. And so we keep trying to match an internalized idea of who we need to be in order to be loved, which is unreachable because we never get there, because we never get the answer that we're expecting. Is this making sense, Alexandra? Are you still there?
Yes, yes, yes. I'm still here. Yes,
Is this landing with you?
yes, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. So first is this layer that I'm talking about. And what's beautiful about the work that can be done in this earth of the age of Aquarius, that we are in this energetics of ascensions, that yes, they are chaotic, but they also allow for really fast reframing and shifting, is that we can go and work on this underlying layer of trauma, and then the narrative above simply shifts and goes away. It's not a forced thing that you do, is a release. It's first, before releasing, you have to see it, is a seeing and understanding of how you stopped believing in yourself or began believing limiting beliefs. That's why we call them that, believing that you don't deserve to follow your soul's path. You deserve to only follow some traditional path that the family has followed. Sometimes, in fact, this comes down through the lineage, even not just through your childhood, but a whole lineage that goes through that. Whoops, sorry, my glasses fell and I can't read the questions without the glasses. Okay, and there's another caller. We'll deal with that in a moment. So, just to wrap this up for you, um, this can be coming also through your lineage. It could be karmic. It could not just be um, from this lifetime. So, I invite you to become curious and to journal at some create, and for everybody listening, okay, that has similar situations to Alexandra, to create in the morning or in the evening, whatever time is more apt for you to have some space on your own, light a candle, put some beautiful crystal or a flower or something by your side that makes you feel expanded and self-loved. Attend to your own beauty and grab a journal and ask yourself the question that relates to whatever it is that is stopping you, and begin going in layers. What is stopping me from XYZ? Why am I thinking these thoughts that are stopping me from going forward? What happens to me when I want to take action? And this is a big one. What happens to you when you want to take action? Literally tune into your body. Do you get your gut that becomes tight? Do you get a headache? Do you get faint? What is happening to you? That will give you information. And go deeper and deeper, asking yourself questions about what is it at the bottom of it all that is stopping you. And you will get profound insights. And once you have those, then you can work with those. Okay?
Thank you. That's beautiful. A deep dive into into my inner
Yes.
world. I love
Yes,
it. Thank you.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Thank you for that question. It was a beautiful question. Okay, Emily, who's next?
Up next, we have Ron from Colorado.
Ooh, wonderful. Hi, Ron from Colorado. Good to have you. Ron, is he still on the line?
He might have stepped away for a second. Ron, are you still there? You're on the air?
If he comes back, let me know. We'll get him through immediately. Meanwhile, I'll finish answering what I was talking about before Alexandra came on.
Okay.
Okay. So when I let Alexandra in, I was about to give you a tip about your way in which you make decisions, that goes first the intuitive hit and then the decision part. And the decision part is not the same for all of us. And this, I'm tapping into human design here. And some of us make decisions very easily, simply, and rapidly through the gut feel. And that's those of you that in human design we call generators or manifesting generators. Not all of them, but for the most part, you will have that ability to have that gut feel. For others, you have what's known as a splenic authority, and that is literally instinctive, like animals. You know how animals know instinctively if they are in danger or if they're safe. And that's even faster than the gut. That's just a thing you know that you know that you know when you enter a room. This is safe. This is not safe. That's like it's instinctive. It's not necessarily intuitive. It's faster than intuition. Others have what's known as an emotional authority. And I'm one of those. And I need to allow my whole emotional flow, the emotional curve to move up and down and up and down until it settles for me to be able to have clarity about what is a clear yes and what is a clear no. And sometimes it takes a few minutes and sometimes it takes days. Some people have what's known as a self-directed authority, and they need to take the time to tune into that I am center and get clarity about what is their decision making. Others need a full 28 and a half days of a moon cycle to be able to make a decision. And I'm hoping that what I'm speaking about is opening your mind with the understanding that, wow, for some of us takes more than a moment to make a decision, to make an aligned decision is what I'm talking about, to make a decision that really taps into the universal knowing with capital K of what is for your highest and best. Because what happens to us when we second guess our decisions, when we make hasty decisions without allowing for clarity in our decision making, then we live projects and things in life that are not aligned with what is for our highest and best, and therefore we become exhausted, drained, unfulfilled, sad, tired, etc. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? Because this is very important. Again, we are not trained in society to understand that we can and should take time to make decisions. We are told that fast decisions is the way to do it, and that if we doubt our decisions, then we're off the game. And here I am telling you, no, it's not always like that. Some of us are wired for fast decisions, and for those of us with that sacred inner authority, which is the fast, intuitive gut feeling, is the other way around. If you begin doubting yourself, you have the big head and you override it, then you lose that information. And for us who are not wired for that fast decision, is the other way around. It's like we try to override the process of the inner authority, and we are making a decision based on what we think I should do, what we think others want me to do, what we think is best, because if I don't do this, I will let somebody down, etc., etc. So these two mechanisms, the intuition and the way in which we make decisions, when they are open, the intuition is open, when we are clear that that's the intuition that comes and not some interference, and then we allow for the decision time based on our own inner wiring of making decisions, then we begin to see our lives shifting their course correcting naturally. And with that, there is a natural flow and fulfillment and joy that comes with it. So we will take a moment to pause and to go for a break. While we do this, you may want to call back in 1-800-930-2819, 1-800-930-2819. We'll see you soon. Hi, I'm Shakti Bottazzi. In August 2027, I'm inviting you to join me in Luxor, Egypt, where a total solar eclipse will cast 6 minutes of sacred darkness over one of the most powerful lands on Earth. I'll be there guiding an initiation journey at the exact convergence of the solar eclipse and a few days later, the Lion's Gate portal on 8/8, a moment of profound alignment, activation, and transformation, the start of a new era for humanity. If you feel the pull, if you know you're here for something more, this is your invitation to step beyond the ordinary and into a once-in-a-lifetime experience. We'll walk through ancient temples, gather in sacred ceremony, and cross a cosmic threshold together, something that won't happen again in your lifetime. For over 40 years, I've been preparing for this moment. I've guided transformational journeys around the world, including a deeply sacred pilgrimage to Egypt in the year 2023. I know this land, I know its power, and I know why you are being called there now. Registration closes June 30th, 2026, and early bird pricing ends May 30th, 2026. You can go to my website, theawakenedpath.com, and right there on the homepage, go to the golden threshold and sign up for this moment. Your soul already knows. And we are back from the break. And today we're talking about what if that intuition was right and your mind made it wrong. And today you can call in live to 1-800-930-2819. And I'm here to answer your questions. No questions are silly. Your question may be just the answer somebody else needed to hear about. Sometimes we don't even know we need to hear that answer. So I do invite you to call in live as we've opened the lines, 1-800-930-2819. Meanwhile, I want to share with you another question I was asked about regarding this topic. And is this, why did that random thought that I had about something I was going to do become true? And I call that the self-fulfilling prophecy. So there's two ways to look at this. There is the premonition and the synchronicity and the highly aligned intuitive thought that we held energetically, so much so that we held it and we kept vibrating to that highest possibility, trusting and believing that it is true until, of course, it became manifest and it became true. As it could be read as, I wanted, let me give you an example. Let's do a simple example, but I'm learning to ride a bike and I'm thinking, well, what if I fall off my bike? And that thought ends up being that I do in effect fall off my bike. And that's typical because that's an intrusion from the mind, putting a limiting belief in your ability to learn how to ride your bike, but it becomes ingrained and combined with the fear from falling off the bike to the point that in order to overcome this continuous narrative, then your subconscious says, okay, let's just have them fall off the bike. So we stop with this nonsense and then we could move on to whatever comes next. So this thing that we do, I gave you a super simple example, but we do it with big things. We do it with, I want to travel to Europe. That's my bucket dream. I want to go to Egypt with Shakti. I want to buy this house in this location, which is my dream location. I want to sell my house. And then we begin saying, oh, but this is not a good market to sell the house. Oh, but the trip to such and such place costs a lot of money. Oh, but, and we begin to put limits into those desires. But here's the fascinating thing of how humans work. When you have a desire, when you have a big, true, heartfelt desire that is coming through an intuitive thought, your heart, your gut, like, I want to be in Mount Shasta with Shakti, or I want to buy this house, or I want to do a cruise trip, or I want to go to Europe, or whatever it is, I want to have a baby. You know, that one is a big one that I helped a client with. And you begin putting limits to it. I want to have a baby. Oh, I already have enough children. I shouldn't in this day and age and whatnot. Or I want to travel, but it costs a lot of money. I won't have the money. And so you make that happen. You make happen that you don't have the money. And you make happen that you can't be in Mount Shasta or in Egypt with Shakti. And you make happen that you don't procreate a baby. And you make happen, but guided not by your intuition. Your intuition placed a desire there because your intuition is in touch and connected to the universal source of creation of love and light. If you have a desire, rest assured that that desire is meant for you to be lived. So, for example, the caller we had earlier, this Alexandra, she is desiring to live her soulful's path, and soulful path, no S there, soulful path. And that means that you are meant to live that soul's path, Alexandra. Otherwise, you wouldn't have all the experiences you're having and all the desires you're having. But of course, when the stakes are high, we're being stretched and we are being shown our limits, and we're being shown that threshold that requires a leap of faith. It requires full trust in a divine design that is so much bigger than our lives, and surrender of control. How many of us live life with our hands like this, energetically in control, because that's how we believe to be safe? But in this way, you can't receive. Release that control, and this is how you can receive. Look at my hands. Things can come through. Otherwise, you can't. I was brought to experience of the power of a divine design that weaves bigger than we have any idea, that is happening at all times in our lives. Very recently, where I was planning on a big move, and I wanted this move to happen mid-June. That was my desire. And it wasn't happening in my timing. And what ended up happening was that my elder mom very fast uh, transitioned into the light. And I was able, because I wasn't moving in that timing, to travel urgently to Argentina, where she lived, to accompany her through the transition and to be there with my family and my loved ones a couple of weeks as we put things in order after her passing. It was huge. And then I was able to come back home and take time to rest, to integrate the pain of the loss. Even though my mom had a beautiful long life, it's still for us humans a mourning. And I was able to have all that expansion and time. Why? Because there was a bigger divine plan weaving of which I had no idea. And I wanted to push my agenda of things happening in a certain time frame. And I'm so grateful that they didn't happen in that timing, because I couldn't have planned things in the beautiful way in which they happened, because I would have forced things to go in a different path. So that was such a lesson of life, saying, remember how this works, Shakti. Remember, there's always a higher divine design that you can't see, but it's there, always playing to your favor. And it was like, wow, that is so true. And yes, we are being taken into these stretches and these expansion moments through fear. We are taking through uncomfortableness. And what is happening when we have an intuitive thought and we doubt ourselves is that our minds get in there and start being noisy and messy and creating spaghetti thoughts. Somebody said this the other day. I love the visual, right? Spaghetti thoughts. And when our minds are spaghetti thoughts, we cannot become clear. So that's why that random thought became truth. It can be this ability of our subconscious to keep us safe, making that worst case scenario happen so that we can move on. Or it can be because this happens true too, that you're truly tuning into with your intuition, and you're truly tapping into the divine intelligence, and you're truly trusting that information that comes through. And therefore, in a beautiful synchronous way, what you knew that nobody could tell you that you didn't know happened, effectively happened, because that is the other side of the coin of what we're talking today. We've spoken about doubting the decision, but what happens when we do not doubt the decision? What happens when we trust the decision? And this thing about having intuition, sorry, trusting intuition is what I meant to say. I said decision. I meant what happens when you trust intuition. And this thing about trusting intuition and making decisions accordingly is big, because when we can understand how it feels in our body when an intuitive information comes through versus what happens when a spaghetti thought comes through. Do you know how that feels? Tune into, I'm not going to give you the answer immediately. Tune inside of yourself for a moment and think. Think about this. What happens to you? Think back to those times when you've had an intuition, you trusted it, and you followed through with it, and then you acted upon it, and then what happened afterwards? Did you get it? And now reframe and think about the other way around. What happened when you had a spaghetti thought that interrupted the intuition? What happened in your body? Can you feel it? Can you recognize it? Can you remember it? And then what happened next? Weird decision making. And then what happened next? Frustration. So most likely when you have spaghetti thoughts, what you get is tight tummy, but not tight tummy as in gut feeling yes and expansion of energy. You get tight tummy and like contraction of energy. You can get an expansion, like an inhale, ah, what a relief, a release. Yes, that's the one. Or you can get like you can't breathe in exactly because you can't truthfully trust that thought. And so you have this like an anxious anxiety kind of breath that doesn't let you fully breathe in. Or then when you trusted that thought versus when you didn't trust the thought, when you trusted that thought, life happened in a beautiful way. You met the right people. You were taken to the right places. You met the right teacher, the right friends, the right opportunities. Life opened, became joyous, became fulfilling. Life grew, right? There was a bigger expression of life. So if you're facing a decision right now and you want to know whether to trust your intuition or your fear, there's a recognition and a real embodied recognition in your body, which is very easy to tap into when you're second guessing yourself. Check in with yourself and tune into, how is my body feeling when I decide A, and tune into that? And how is my body feeling when I decide B? This is an easy litmus test, because the body knows overriding all mental mechanisms. And that's why the body can give you insights that are undeniable, and they're also fast. The body will contract when the energy is a no, and the body will expand. How does the body contract? It contracts in the tummy, it contracts in the breathing, it contracts in the mind, it contracts in the forehead, it contracts in the nape of your head, giving headaches, it contracts in your stomach, giving you bad digestion or loose stools or even constipation. It contracts, telling you that energy is not flowing. And when the decision is for your highest and best, when the decision is whatever it is to be happening that you're tuning into, your body will give you cues like Big ability to inhale and exhale, relief and weight coming off of your shoulders, a smile coming into your face like the cat that ate the mouse, kind of like that, under the whiskers kind of smile. um, Alignment in your whole body, high energy life force, willingness to go for a walk, willingness to sing, to dance, to cook, to make love, to call a friend. When you are in a state of flow of life, when you're in a state of, yes, that's where the road goes through, that you're in a state of allowing energy to flow, and it's very evident. And the checkpoint is this beautiful cosmic suit that is the body that gets gets beyond the mind. And so you don't need to be stuck in the mind. Just go into how is your body feeling. And yes, I know that for many of us, connecting with our bodies is not always easy because we also carry a lot of trauma in our body. But the body has such wisdom, and it is the fastest route to override the mind. Then, of course, if you are facing a decision right now and you want to get clear about that decision, again, the invitation is to get curious. For me, in the path of the spiritual seeker, curiosity is at the top of the list of door openers. Curiosity shifts us away from negativity and get us out of stuckness and also of defensiveness. Because when we can ask, well, what if? And then you ask all the what if questions, right? What if I looked at this from another point of view? Well, what would happen if I make this decision as a yes? Okay, let's paint that scenario. Okay, I get it. Well, what would happen if I do not make that decision? And paint that scenario. That simple question of future tripping with consciousness, with conscious awareness. What would happen if I make this decision? And what would happen if I don't make that decision? That already is a door opener, a gaining your clarity moment. And just dig in there and ask those questions. And then if you know that the path is to take action in a certain way, but you still can't, you still feel that there's something holding you back, then the next level of curiosity is, well, what is holding me back? What is this fear? There is some kind of contraction, some kind of fear still holding you. You gained clarity about that intuitive action that you need to take, but you're still being held back. Well, what is that fear? And so play with the worst case scenarios, because when we play with the worst case scenarios, then our subconscious goes like, oh, that's not as bad. When we play with the worst case scenarios, what ends up happening is that the worst case is not as bad as we thought it would be. But if we don't play with it and we put it out there and we see it clearly, we hold it inside our mind as if it were this big monster. But the minute we give it form and sound and words and we put it as a possibility, then we dismantle its power. So there you go. If you're facing a decision right now, if you are needing to gain clarity about trusting your intuition, about, is this my mind? Is this my intuitive thought? Am I second guessing myself? Am I doubting myself? These are all moments in which the whole conversation we've had this morning is what can give you clarity, what can help you really move on. And the curiosity of a spiritual seeker opens a myriad of possibilities. Get clear about when a thought is an intuition versus when is the mind, the spaghetti mind. Get clear about what is that authority that is innate to you, that is the one really giving you the truth. Is that an emotional curve you need to allow to land? Is that a gut feeling? Is that an instinct that comes to you? Is that a full month of a moon cycle that I need to wait to play with all the possibilities until I become clear? Which is it for you? And if you have doubts, let's book a human design session so I can help you with your own user manual. And I'm really hoping that today's conversation has given you tools and clarity so that you can recognize your intuition, distinguish it from fear, conditioning, overthinking, and old programming so that you can begin trusting your own inner knowing with greater confidence. And for everybody, there's also, as usual, a gift on my description to this video or this audio that you can download the soul embodiment map, which helps you also to tune into your body in a way that you can begin to get the cues with more clarity. I really hope today's conversation was of service to you, expanding the possibilities for your life. We all need you to shine bright, to be you fully, and to keep following the path that is aligned with your soul's reason of why you're here on earth. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being part of today's call. Until next time. Thank you for joining me, Shakti Bottazzi, on the Soul Wisdom Project, remembering the living blueprint of the soul. Tune in every first and third Tuesday each month at 9 a.m. Pacific on Transformation Talk Radio. Continue your journey of conscious embodiment, integrating the design, development, and emergence of your divine blueprint. Deepen your exploration through my book, Remembering Her, A Soul Embodiment Journey, and discover mentoring and retreats at theawakenedpath.com. Healing is possible. Your journey is sacred design in motion. To put overwhelm in your past, contact me at www.theawakenedpath.com. Stay awake, stay aligned, and keep living your soul's wisdom. See you next time.